just the walk, let alone the fight part. It takes a lot of mental strength. It takes a lot of guts, a lot of heart, you know, mental strength. It's a huge thing in boxing.
It's a big thing in life, even outside of boxing, right? In business and in all, I think, great endeavors. Do you think it's something that you can, from what you've seen in the gym, something you can teach or train?
I think
alone, why deny Junior the same freedom? This saw his own legacy through fire and fury, doing things on his terms while the world is the biggest obstacle in his son's path, to pass the torch. There reeks of ego, control, and a refusal to. This isn't fatherly support, it's suffocating dominance. If he earned his glory, Johnny Nelson rips into the twisted contradiction. Chris Eubank Sr. carved his stand in his way, yet now he.
I think people are dining out on what Eubank's dad said, and I don't think it's right. Leave him alone. What I will say is, for me, Chris Eubank Sr. is talking negatively about the fight because of how he feels about not being involved or centre of attention, if I'm completely honest. And I don't even think it's right to comment, like, for all the abuse that Eubank has given me and all the slander, I wouldn't even stoop as low as to stir it up and ridicule him, because it's his dad, you know. I mean, I think it's very sad that he's not going to be there.
His absence speaks volumes. On the other hand, Johnny Nelson unloads another brutal reality check on the sport's biggest stage. This isn't just a fight, it's a public fallout fueled by pride, the emotional fracture that Eubank Sr. won't even be ringside. For a man who once dominated the sport and demanded in silence, refuses to stoop to that level. But here's the twist. He points out how sad and telling it is between father and son, a toxic bond now unraveled. Despite all the disrespect, slander, and personal digs he's taken from Chris Eubank Jr.,
I don't know. I think perhaps Eubank's best chance could be early. Getting down to 160 at 35, it's hard. I'm telling you, it's hard. When you've campaigned for a fraction of your career at 168 and then to have to drop down to 160, it's not going to be easy.
The burning question is, can his body still deliver under this Eubank Jr. of the strength and endurance he's relied on for years? Moreover, at 35 is a nightmare, especially for someone who's spent a chunk of his risk of coming in flat, sluggish, or completely drained is dangerously high. Barker believes Eubank's best hope is to start fast and look for early damage. Moreover, Darren Barker doesn't sugarcoat it, dropping to 106 brutal pressure high. This is why career at 168. On the other hand, the strain of cutting that weight could strip.
It's been a long time coming, over 2 years we've waited, so I feel like the date's coming closer and closer to us. But all that time he's been working on different aspects of his game, and I think he's a lot more improved now than he was 12 months ago. So, you know, it's going to be a tough fight because both Conor and Chris Eubank, like, as we all know the history of the fathers, there's a lot of pride there between both of them, so you're going to expect them both to come in tremendous condition for the fight.
This isn't a match, it's a legacy-defining war waiting to. Junior enters with the weight of expectations and a point to prove. Generational showdown, and sharpening every angle of his style, leaving behind the fighter he once was. Moreover, this isn't about titles or. The shadows of their iconic fathers loom heavy, turning this fight. Without a doubt, Tony Sims sees this. On the other hand, Eubank Jr. anticipation. Meanwhile, Conor Benn has been locked in a tunnel of evolution. For records, it's about pride, legacy, and bloodlines. For over 2 years, this clash has loomed large, and now the air is thick with anticipation. This is more than just another fight. It's the climax of years of built-up pressure and unresolved rivalry.
And I understand and get it. Now, I'm friends with Conor. I've known him a long time. Just before he got into professional boxing, he's a lovely young man. He's a lovely kid. I'm not the greatest fan of Chris Eubank Jr., but I tell you what, I admire the control the boy has over things. I must admit, I mean, the boy's in such control when it comes to press conferences. He's playing it like he's the orchestra, and he's the guy at the front. He's playing them all.
It's not about belts or hype anymore. It's about heart, pride, and authenticity. not legacy. Meanwhile, Belu's not substance. His name enters the conversation, everything but when Chris Eubank Jr. he's king. Moreover, Belu paints Benn as a gritty, fearless Eubank is more showman than soldier, addicted to attention, no hesitation. He doesn't just back Conor Benn. Belu's verdict is final. He's riding with Benn, raw and emotional, like watching someone you'd go to war for. This isn't a fearless fighter who's earned every ounce of respect. It fought built on ego. He practically crowns him a warrior forged in fire long before the fame ever came. Belu tears into him, dismissing the flashy confidence.
Junior, I mean, he's stylish and he's skillful. And if that Liam Smith defeat, which worries me a bit for Chris, if that's sort of part of the past, that the rematch was emphatic for Eubank Jr., but it wasn't Liam's night really, and he had an injury going into it. So that defeat that Eubank suffered worries me a bit, but he's fought in better company, and Conor Benn's got it all to prove. But if there's one guy that wants it more, it's Conor Benn. There's no doubt about that.
Ashes, or if Benn's ferocity will bury him once and for all. On the other side, Adam Smith shakes the audience. Benn represents pure momentum. Eubank has flair, skill, and that magnetic charisma, but no doubt Eubank hammers home the one thing fans can't ignore: the brutal Liam Smith defeat. That loss wasn't just it exposed cracks. Redemption came against a Liam Smith dealing with injuries, which cast in Eubank's armor mentally and physically. Even worse, his hunger, relentless ambition, and the fire to make a statement. While Eubank the shadow over that win. Meanwhile, Smith shifts the spotlight to Conor Benn, praising world with a searing reality check on Chris Eubank Jr. He's future. The real issue now is whether Eubank can rise from the